Colorado sky. Friday night's calling and the towns go quiet. From Doug Shaw Memorial to John McKissick Field, Carolina football, it's the heart we feel. Pickup trucks line up, tailgates in a row, Hot Stadium's rocking, Abbeville's ready to go. The Sumter Gamecocks charge, Gaffney's standing tall, every small town's dreaming beneath the lights of fall. Four-quarter Friday, where the heart beats pound, Carolina shuts down every town. From the first snap to the final play, we're living for the glory of a four-quarter Friday. In Gilbert, America, the bleachers fill with pride. Cheerleaders shout, the band's playing, no one's staying inside. The boys in pads hit hard, chasing that old dream. Under stadium lights, it's more than just a team. Mamas clutch their programs, daddies yell the calls, grandpas talk of legends in these hallowed football halls. From the low country marshes to the upstate's clay, four-quarter Friday lights the Carolina way. Four-quarter Friday, where the heart beats pound, South Carolina shuts down every town. From the first snap to the final play, we're living for the glory of a four-quarter Friday. Shaw's roar to McKissick's sacred ground. Hot Stadium's fire, you can feel the sound. Sumter Gamecocks fly, Gaffney holds a line, J-Mo run the dang ball, we're screaming for a sign. Rivalries burn bright, the clock's ticking down. On four-quarter Friday, we're the talk of the town. When the whistle blows and the scoreboard fades away, the lessons from the field guide us every day. Teamwork, grit, and pride, it's more than just a score. Carolina football's what we're fighting for. From the PD rivers to the upstate's misty hills, four-quarter Friday gives our hearts a thrill. Four-quarter Friday, where the heart beats pound, South Carolina shuts down every town. From the first snap to the final play, we're living for the glory of a four-quarter Friday. So here's to the Palmetto boys, giving it their all on a four-quarter Friday. South Carolina stands tall.
Welcome to Four-Quarter Friday, part of the Chief Sports Network. Talking South Carolina high school sports every Friday morning, and proudly presented by the South Carolina Athletic Coaches Association. With weekly appearances from coaches, players, and media around the state. Let's go! Kick off the first quarter. Happy Friday!
We will be your guides today as we celebrate all of the state champions being crowned here in the month of May. More than any other month on the calendar, we get state championships in May. We've got the spring football tour rolling along, walk-off wins on the diamond, medals awarded on the track. And I hope if you are watching right now, however you are taking in Four Quarter Friday, you are also subscribed so that you can get the morning updates, which have been fantastic. This is the first quarter of Four Quarter Friday, and first quarters are brought to you by Bill Maloney, Farm Bureau, and we are presented by the South Carolina Athletic Coaches Association. And as such, we're going to have a couple of coaches that are from that association today. Chris Fryland, a legend in girls soccer, going for yet another state championship in his final season on the pitch. And we're going to have Mark Bonnette join us from River Bluff, and they are winning games in dramatic fashion. A pair of one-run wins to dispatch Lexington and Carolina Forest, two of the teams we knew would be playing late into this month, late into this baseball season, challenging for a state championship. And Mark Bonnette is going for another one. We'll have him on in just a few minutes. Rob, I said, you've been busy. You have been so busy. So it's football, it's track, it's soccer. You're covering it all, and you're doing it with our updates, trying to keep it all straight. So that makes May such an exciting time of year for everybody, because every time you check out our X or anything, we're retweeting a new state champion somewhere.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And those morning minutes are just a snippet, Smitty, because we get to come on here on Friday and really break it down. A minute isn't enough time. At some point, we're going to have to expand this thing and do some more shows. But there are so many things happening. You mentioned the track. We talked this morning, Blythewood girls winning their fourth in a row, just absolutely dominant for the Bengals. Did some highlights there with the Burns boys team, as their 4x1 relay team is made up of all football stars who you will see in the fall. And Chu Harris, the receiver who's getting a lot of attention, wins the 100 and 200 individual. But in 4A, Smitty, a lot going on over there at Richland Northeast yesterday as the 4A championships happened. And, a couple of things jumped out to me. Grayson Edwards at AC Flores set a record in the 3200. She was right there, 5 minutes flat, or 5:05 in the 1600, finishing second. So we want to celebrate her this morning. And then also you can look across the board, and there's a lot of things that are really impressive. A couple of things that I'll call out again on the girls side in 4A. Janai Sumter, star basketball player for Lower Richland, had a good showing in everything that you throw. I'm going to say it that way. Okay. Whether it's javelin,
the hammer, the shot put. Okay.
That's it. Javelin, discus, shot put, all of them. She shows up. She shows up on the board there. And then a name, Smitty, that I think football fans will love to hear as well, as Amari Patterson, wide receiver at Bluffton, shows up there, not winning it, but a 21.57 in the 200. So that's one for sure that everybody will care about as his recruitment continues to rage on. But yeah, we had golf state championships this week. Will Ruth went for a three-peat at Dorman. The kid from TL Hannah, Eric Erlenkauser, goes back to back to finish his career. Who was it? River Bluff. We're talking River Bluff today. Back to back in the 5A Division II on the golf course. Greenville needs an extra hole to win it in Division I. A lot of stuff happening. Richland Northeast hired DeMarcus Simons as the new football coach this week. It is crazy out there, Smitty.
I know.
It is May, and we can't keep our heads on straight.
No, May's hard. We'll try to settle in. We'll try to review May in June and July, because so much is happening. Go back and celebrate these champions. But one thing they do in college athletics is the Commissioner's Cup, and Stanford often wins it. You have schools, universities at the collegiate level that are really good across multiple sports. And of course, obviously football, men's basketball are going to get most of the headlines, and it's easy to keep up with who's winning, maybe the women's basketball championship and the College World Series and those things. But then across all sports, Stanford really excels. They have men's volleyball and some other things that everybody doesn't have. But my point that I'm bringing up is I'm hearing River Bluff a lot. I'm hearing AC Flora a whole lot as they advance in the playoffs. So I wonder, maybe we'll do our own Commissioner's Cup here and try to keep up with all of the sports and try to create a system. But I'm just pointing out, it seems like there are a few schools that are on runs right now across multiple sports. River Bluff certainly one of them. And I think good things are happening at AC Flora. Dorman, of course. We're hearing a lot of the same schools kind of bubble up every now and then. They're having a really good run of athletes.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Smitty. I think that it can be a daunting task to look across all of athletics in the state of South Carolina, but we are here every week with the purpose of celebrating that, right? And doing what you just said, which is digging in and figuring out kind of who is bubbling up to the top, and then where are the stories right under the surface that need to be celebrated. There is going to be all of that and more at fourquarterfriday.com, which launches later this month in partnership with On3 and Rivals. And we are excited to not just be with you on Friday mornings and for morning minutes each day, but to give you a full site to have great coverage, but also to have engagement as fans and players and coaches of all these teams that we're talking about, Smitty. It's been a fun week to get out there and to see some of the playoff action, and also to see a lot of football spring stuff going on as well. So yeah, River Bluff is a team that we definitely have talked about. I agree that Dorman is another one. We've seen them in multiple sports, and if we begin to peel back and go down a couple of levels, you're going to see some other teams that continue to rise. I know that you are going to give us a baseball update later on and kind of work our way through some of the highlights there. And I think you'll see some names there, in whether it's in Class A, 2A, 3A, that really stick out to me as well, that we maybe have seen through the winter sports and on into the spring as well.
All right. So when we come back, so our first quarter, again, we want to mention, is brought to you by Bill Maloney, Farm Bureau Insurance. Thank you to Bill for bringing us the first quarter. In our second quarter, we're going to be joined by Mark Bonnette, the head coach for River Bluff Baseball. And here's what their week has been like. First, they knock off Lexington, 12-11. Okay? Dramatic, come from behind win, 12-11. Then they beat Carolina Forest, one of the teams everybody anticipated playing deep into May. River Bluff trails Carolina Forest 2-1 going into the final inning. Comes from behind. Leo Zambrano gets the go-ahead RBI, top of the seventh. They go on top 3-2. Now River Bluff, and that's great. Well, there's no time to rest. Now you need to beat Sumter tonight and tomorrow if you want to advance. That's how we knew the baseball playoffs would happen fast. This is how fast it happens. So we'll take a moment here and come back with Mark Bonnette. He is the head coach for River Bluff High School. He's already got a state championship. He is a legend in the making in our state. And we'll check in on all the players that he's got, how he's setting up his pitching, and maybe talk a little bit about the Gamecocks coaching job, because Mark Bonnette is really plugged into the state of South Carolina. He travels around and plays in these tournaments. You and I both saw him at the Midlands tournament there with AC Flora. And so he travels around. He's plugged into the travel ball scene and everything. And I'm curious his thoughts on what kind of fit is right for South Carolina Gamecock baseball and how they can get back to recruiting this state and landing some of the big-time recruits that come out of this state at South Carolina. So we'll talk to Mark Bonnette about all of that and more when we come back. It's the second quarter coming up on Four Quarter Friday next.
Check the statewide high school scoreboard every Friday night on the Chief Sports app.
If you have experienced any sort of damage to your home or business, smoke, water, fire, or mold, visit RestaProsMidlandsSC.com, proud supporters of South Carolina high school athletics.
Leading Edge Fundraising is the #1 fundraising solution in South Carolina for middle and high schools, club teams, and colleges. At Leading Edge, a personal representative does the work for you to make more money in just 1 hour. Leading Edge is your solution. It's a one-stop shop for over 10 different fundraising options that all run off the same proven process. Don't stress about insufficient budgets or lack of materials. Contact Leading Edge today and raise funds fast. Leading Edge, South Carolina. Raise more, do more, win more. LeadingEdgeFundraising.com.
When playing sports, you want a coach that will fight for you. At Hewitt Diamaduros Law Firm, we've got your back. Whether it's personal injury, insurance disputes, negligence, or wrongful death, our team delivers exceptional legal services that makes meaningful difference in the lives of the individuals and families we work for. Visit hdlawsc.com. hdlawsc.com. Hewitt Diamaduros, we're on your team.
Palm Casual Outdoor Patio Furniture proudly supports high school athletics across South Carolina. If it's time to make your outdoor space the best it can be, with lifetime warranties and guarantees, visit one of our Palm Casual stores in Myrtle Beach, Bluffton, Somerville, or Mount Pleasant. PalmCasual.com. PalmCasual.com. Turn on the lights. It's Friday night.
It's the 4-Quarter Friday High School Show on the Chief Sports Network. Proudly covering high school athletics across the state of South Carolina with accurate, trusted analysis, in-depth interviews with coaches, media, and players, and quality information. Every Friday at 9 a.m. We're here for you. Proud partner of the South Carolina Athletic Coaches Association.
Yo, welcome back to 4-Quarter Friday. Matt Smith and Rob Williams here with you. And we don't have our guest just yet, but we are still working on that. In the meantime, Rob, I want to dig in just a moment if we can. I've got a lot to say about baseball, but I did want to get an update on what's happening with the spring football tour in terms of what you've seen, what you're seeing, what you're hearing, the feedback you're getting from coaches, and what it's like, because this is an element that I think has really grown. I mean, we're seeing more and more highlights put out on social media. We know how heavy recruitment is at this time of year. So what's it like when you're getting out on the campuses?
Well, first of all, I'll remind everybody that if you're not following us at 4-Quarter SC on X, I would advise you to do so if you want to be able to follow along. That's going to be your best bet. Or you can follow me as well at Rob Williams GCP as we're getting all of this information out there. Facility tours, practice photos, coaching interviews, some player discussions. The first thing I would say, Smitty, is that we are welcomed to step onto these campuses and give more exposure to football teams as they get ready in the spring. For the most part, that has been we've been one of the only ones there to cover it. And there's been a couple of event types. The Upstate Football Showcase at Spartanburg brought out all of the media on Wednesday, but it's an opportunity to see so many teams together. I'll say this week specifically, the South Point Showcase and then the Upstate Football Showcase at Spartanburg, Tuesday and Wednesday, back-to-back days, 8 teams on Tuesday, 8 teams on Wednesday, or actually maybe 10 teams on Wednesday there at Spartanburg. It brings out a large group of college coaches, because it's an opportunity for them to see so many teams in one setting. And that's the purpose, Smitty. That's the purpose, is to get these college coaches out so they're not having to drop in at a lot of individual stops. They can go to one location and they can stand in the middle of the field. They can make their notes. They can chat with people on the sidelines. They can grab coaches and talk to them, grab players and talk to them. So one of the things that I'm able to pick up on is what the level of talent is that each team kind of has that we're going to see. It's an easy kind of eye test to put guys back to back. I'm also able to see a lot of these guys get their first college offers. In some cases, there are recruiters there who are seeing a guy for the however, they've seen him multiple times. I won't say how many because I know that there are guidelines and rules and regulations there, but they're coming out to see them multiple times. You can tell there's a relationship established. You can tell that they've had conversations with this player over and over. And then there are players where you see them post as soon as they leave that they got an offer, and I'm able to see that conversation and that exchange and the look on a young man's face when he does receive that offer from a school. And a couple of times, Smitty, I've been able to stand with college recruiters and help identify talent. Even just say, "Hey, have you seen this guy over here?
You've seen this guy, right? Yeah.
Kind of who is that? Do you know who that is? No, I don't know who that is, but I noticed him too, and I'm going to go over there and talk to him. So we need to get him. We need to get him to camp, or we need to figure out what he's doing, what he's got going on. So those are the really, really cool moments of what those events bring, is because there's so much attention. There's fans in the stands. It's open to everybody. So you kind of see media teams starting to build at the high school level. They got photographers and whatnot on the field that are doing hype videos or doing photos for websites or social media. We're really seeing the model of everything involved at the college level continuing to trickle down to that high school level. And that starts with football in the state of South Carolina, because that is kind of the bread and butter of what people love and what moves the communities. We talk a lot about, I talked with Aiden Gibson this week as he committed to Penn State. We had an interview with him that came out right after that commitment. And one of the things that he said about Woodruff, and this is reflective of the entire state, is everything shuts down on Friday night. He said the restaurants aren't even open because everybody comes to the game. And that's what it means to the community. So you're starting to see some of that hype and that buzz moving here early in the spring. We still have a summer to get through, but it's interesting. And Smitty, I'll say one more thing here. A lot of movement with the high school transfer portal. And so it's interesting to see as well. New names and faces wearing new colors. And how do they mesh? There's some 7-on-7 action. Occasionally you get some light 11-on-11 stuff going on in some of these practices. So it's been interesting to see what those matchups and kind of what the chemistry looks like, especially guys that are in skill positions where they need to work well with the guys around them.
All right, so those showcases, when you say 7-on-7s, are they playing, like Dorman against Woodland or something? I mean, is it two teams, or it's got to be all, you've got to practice with your own club right now? Yeah,
you still have to practice with your own team. But what you'll have in a lot of cases is teams going on one side of the field and the other team on the other. And that's pretty much how they have them set up. So most coaches, college recruiters, media, whatever, are standing at the 50, and you're able to see kind of two groups work at the same time. They're basically just going through their full practice. And so you're going to have an indie period, you're going to have a team period, so on and so forth. So you get an opportunity to, see how well oiled of a machine some of these operations are. How well do they come in and get to it? How can they move from period 1 to period 2 to period 3 and so on? And then, in the individual periods, you really get to see some of the standouts. That's where I'm able to get around and do a little evaluating myself and make some notes on, like, hey, this guy, either I already know his name and know who he is, and now I'm getting to see him move a little bit, or I get an opportunity to say, this kid is incredible. Look at his size, his athleticism, his get off, his speed, whatever stands out about him, right? And then go kind of make a question of the coach or one of the college guys that are around that may know who they are, and so on and so forth. So the biggest thing I think I mentioned last week that has been fun for me is coaches will talk a lot about 27, 28 prospects, and we're going to talk about them too, Smitty. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to 29s and 30s, there's a twinkle in the eye of some of these coaches when you can see what they think they have coming down the road in the pipeline that's going to provide them a real opportunity as they look at the talent that is coming through and just now hitting that high school level. that's really fun to see, because there's a lot of excitement that comes with some of these coaches when they begin to dream about what could be 2 or 3 years down the road.
Tell me again about Aiden Gibson's commitment, because you got to sit down with Aiden for quite a bit of time. And for those that missed it, Aiden Gibson, the interview is still up on our YouTube channel for Four Quarter Friday. So tell us what you think you took from that with Aiden Gibson.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a little over 10 minutes with him. I think that he committed to Penn State, the finalists there. He had a top 5. But I would say that Rutgers was a big factor there as well. For Aiden, we talked a lot about the decision to move on up to Penn State, which I think is a good decision for him from a scheme standpoint, from a coaching staff standpoint. They're hitting kind of a reset button and a refresh up there. He really loves the fact that they are going to run the ball. That's a Matt Campbell trait that you're going to see kind of in that offense, that now moving from Iowa State to Penn State, we have a little bit of a track record of what that offense looks like. And I think that really appeals to him. I also think that the cultural fit was just something that really stuck out to him. The way that the team is run by Brett Sloan at Woodruff and the culture that's been created there. We've heard this time and time again, Smitty, from coaches week in and week out, but just the development of the whole person. How is this player being developed, not just on the field, but off the field as a man? What's going on? I think that there were certain aspects of the system of developing the whole person at Penn State that really appealed to Aiden Gibson as well. So we also talked a good bit about Woodruff itself. So, we began talking about Penn State, but, for our listeners, a lot of things that you may appreciate, especially for our Woodruff viewers and listeners, is all that he had to say about that town and that community and how it has impacted him, how it has how it's raised him, how the opportunity to play there is something that he counts as a blessing, and the support that they get from the fans, the Woodruff Wolverine fans, that, like I said, everything shuts down. The entirety of the town, from restaurants to small businesses, they are financially supporting the team, and they are supporting it with their presence as well. He mentioned, families of coaches and so on and so forth that are that have invested in his life and known his family. It's just kind of that small town South Carolina, everything is knit together type of environment. We see that across the state from community to community. And I think Aiden did a good job of highlighting that. And I think that he'll be a fit for Matt Campbell up in Happy Valley.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's take a moment here. Let's step away, because we're going to try to get Coach Bonnette on with us from River Bluff, and we'll try to hook that up and have that coming for you in our third quarter. We've got a lot of baseball to cover, obviously, and we're still going to try to get Chris Fryland in, legendary girls soccer coach from Lexington. All that's happening on Four Quarter Friday. Back after this.
Leading Edge Fundraising is the #1 fundraising solution in South Carolina for middle and high schools, club teams, and colleges. At Leading Edge, a personal representative does the work for you to make more money in just 1 hour. Leading Edge is your solution. It's a one-stop shop for over 10 different fundraising options that all run off the same proven process. Don't stress about insufficient budgets or lack of materials. Contact Leading Edge today and raise funds fast. Leading Edge, South Carolina. Raise more, do more, win more. LeadingEdgeFundraising.com.
Insurance protects you from accidents you can't see coming. Bill Maloney with South Carolina Farm Bureau can handle it all with home, auto, and life insurance options. Bill is the ultimate family man, and he'll treat you like a part of his family too. Call Bill and feel safe on the road and at home. South Carolina Farm Bureau is offering new auto rates across the state, so don't wait. Call 803-637-6246. Bill Maloney, protecting your family like it's his family.
Palm Casual Outdoor Patio Furniture proudly supports high school athletics across South Carolina. If it's time to make your outdoor space the best it can be, with lifetime warranties and guarantees, visit one of our Palm Casual stores in Myrtle Beach, Bluffton, Somerville, or Mount Pleasant. PalmCasual.com. PalmCasual.com. Turn on the lights. It's Friday night.
Welcome back to Four Quarter Friday, part of the Chief Sports Network. Let's talk ball.
Back on Four Quarter Friday, Matt Smith, Rob Williams here with you, and we're going to talk a little baseball. We're going to try to get Coach Bonnette with us from River Bluff, but let's give you a quick update. What's going on? What's been going on? If you look at the upper state, 5A Division I, we said earlier that Dorman has been doing well across all sports. Baseball is no exception with Palmer, Hornick, and others. They were the upper state's top seed. They are now in the Dorman Cavaliers in the District 1 finals. Got a 6-5 win over Dutch Fork and a 9-2 win over J.L. Mann. So it wasn't that easy. Had a close call there against Dutch Fork. J.L. Mann knocked out Dutch Fork earlier this week. So now that sets up the Cavaliers and the Patriots. J.L. Mann would have to beat Dorman twice, both tonight and tomorrow, to move on and win District 1. And the way the districts work, you have District 1, District 2, District 3, District 4. I'm talking about 5A. 5A Division 1. And then those districts, 1 and 2, will meet each other, play for the upper state. 3 and 4 meet each other, play for the lower state. And then those two teams come together to play a series. So, and the reason I say it's not that confusing, it is a bit confusing because 4A is done a little differently. So, you know, these classifications handle it a little bit differently depending on how many teams land in the class. But 5A Division I, so you know Dorman's in a good spot up there. In District 2 of the upper state, how about this? This is a story. I want to make sure we mention this. 6th seeded Spartan High. So that's the Spartanburg Vikings. Had to come out of the play-in round. They are now in the catbird seat, still in the winner's bracket. The Vikings have done it with pitching. 11 runs surrendered in 4 games. So just 3 runs per game. They did this the hard way, coming all the way from the play-in round. Now they're in the district finals. And they lost to Boiling Springs 3 times in the regular season, did the Vikings. Spartan High turned the tables, beat Boiling Springs at Bulldog Park on the road 4-0. So now Spartanburg High School is sitting in a great spot. If Dorman and Spartanburg both win tonight, they would meet for the upper state championship.
It is an incredible story, Smitty, and we see this kind of across. We've got a couple of highlights here across the state where we see some teams that maybe weren't as expected, but you called it out when we had Jack Jolly on a few weeks ago and said, "Hey, look at this region." Yeah. Look at this.
I thought either Boiling Springs or Spartan High or Burns even had a chance.
Yep. Absolutely.
To make a run.
And
even though they were kind of getting hammered because Dorman was so good in the regular season and was going to win the region, well, that meant you're not a region champion, so that pushes you down. And you've got to do it the hard way. You've got to do it on the road, or you've got to do it through a play-in series. Spartan High's done that. A lot of credit. Now, listen, we don't want to sleep on Blythewood. The Bengals are the 2 seed. Okay, but they've got to beat Spartan High twice. The first time, that game tonight, Duncan Park, historic Duncan Park tonight between Blythewood and Spartan High. So I love that. In the lower state, so District 3, this is 5A, Division I, District 3, James Island. We had Matt Spivey on a few weeks ago. I don't know what you can do to these guys in this lineup. Taj Marchand, the reigning 5A Player of the Year. So they make the district finals unscathed. They're still undefeated in the playoffs. The Trojans defeated Fort Dorchester for the 4th time this season. But here's the thing. They're not done. Fort D's not done. They've lost now to James Island 4 times. They could get another shot, right? they fought back through the losers bracket, and so now it's James Island and Fort Dorchester. But Fort Dorchester would have to beat James Island twice in order to move on. But I don't know if Fort Dorchester, if there's enough pitching. This is why they set this up the way they do. They want to really give advantages to some of the top seeds. And Fort Dorchester is an 8 seed. They're playing their 7th game of the playoffs. James Island is playing just its 3rd. So Fort Dorchester is going to have to win in its 7th game of the playoffs, win that one. Then in the 8th game, turn around and upset James Island again. So much to ask for. Quickly, I also mentioned the lower states District 4, 6 seed Sumter is in the prime position, hosting tonight. They're on the top line of the winners bracket, fighting their way all the way through the play-in round as a 6 seed. River Bluff fought its way through the playoff round, beating Wando in a series, then falling to 2 seed Carolina Forest before getting Lexington, eliminating Lexington 12-11, and then a come-from-behind 3-2 win over Carolina Forest to bounce the Panthers. And now River Bluff will have to beat Sumter twice. So that one is set up, and it's incredible. Now we have Coach Mark Bonnette with us, and I just laid it out, Coach, what you've been through and how difficult the playoffs are. So we don't have a lot of time, so we want to welcome you right in, but tell us just about this ride, because it's the play-in round. You've got to then slay the Dragon of Lexington, then Carolina Forest, one of the state's best teams. You've got to turn around and beat. You're down 2-0 heading in the last 2 innings. You've got to turn around and beat them. So, Coach, welcome in and tell us what it's been like these last 2 weeks. Oh, Coach, we can't hear you. Maybe let's see if you've got anything on mute. We've had trouble getting Coach on this morning, and these things can happen. Maybe we could talk him into it, talk him through it off the air. Phil, can you see if he can reconnect for us? But I just laid that out.
Not the only storyline there, though, Smitty, right? You know, you mentioned we've got some 6 seeds in Spartanburg and Sumter. River Bluff now will find their way to play the Sumter Gamecocks. But when you make it, that's just 5A Division I. Talk about the storylines. Talk about the paths that have to be taken to get to a state championship here. We've seen it. And you mentioned these things go really fast in terms of the playoffs in baseball. They start a little bit slow, but now things have really picked up. And our guy Hal Bagwell at Indian Land, who was with us just a few weeks ago, has got his team in position as well.
Absolutely. So 600 wins in his career. And Hal Bagwell has got it cooking at Indian Land. So they're into the district finals, and they've got easily the 5 seed at home tonight with a chance to clinch. In District 2, so again, 1 will play 2. Division 2, 5A is like Division 1. Major surprise. 10th seeded TL Hanna has won 4 straight to put themselves in a position to clinch a spot in the upper state final. But they would have to beat Eastside tonight. But remarkable that you come into the playoffs as a 10 seed. People are probably sleeping on you. You win 4 straight, and look where you are. Also, Berkeley, the defending state champion, they're still alive in District 3, but they'll have to beat West Florence twice. And in District 4, the lower state, this is 5A Division 2, everybody knew North Myrtle was good. They're a similar position to what Spartan High was. They didn't win the region because Carolina Forest did. So they got saddled with a 10 seed, but they've won a play-in series, and they fought all their way all the way to the district finals. So, a lot of action and a lot of teams doing it the hard way. All right, we're going to try again. Let's try to bring Coach Bonnette in with us. Coach, let's see if we can hear you. Oh, we can't. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do in front of everybody. We will thank you, Coach, and we'll watch out. You gonna try again, Coach? All right. It's not working. I tell you what, we will get back in touch with you, and congratulations on your success. Good luck tonight. I know it's going to be hard. We'll get some messages back and forth, Coach, and we'll get this taken care of and get you on soon. All right. Thank you. That is Coach Bonnette, and his team is trying to fight its way into the state championships, and they have done it the hard way, as we just told you. Now, we'll take a break from baseball if we can for just a moment. Let's stay right here, and let's see if we can bring Coach Chris Fryland in, who is a legend in this state, coaching his final season in Lexington. Coach Fryland, welcome to Four Quarter Friday. I think you're enjoying your final season, right?
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
We got you, Coach.
Okay, good.
We've got you, Coach.
I heard,
Hey,
yeah, Coach Bonnette. Yeah, absolutely enjoying the final season. You better believe it.
I thought so. Tell us, if you would, let's talk small picture, and then we'll get big picture and all that you've accomplished over these years. But small picture, a 2-1 win, and if the highlights I saw were right, you did that on two set pieces, like 2 free kicks, one from 30-plus yards out. So tell us about that, how much you practice that, and, in particular, who it is you trust to take those kicks.
Right. Well, we were playing River Bluff for the third time. In such a big rivalry. The first time we beat them in penalty kicks. The second time it was 3-1, but it was 1-1 for a while, and so really tight. And, my coaches and I talked about how hard it is to beat a team 3 times, especially such a quality team like River Bluff. So going into the game, we knew it was going to be tight. We knew, set pieces are always huge in soccer. Statistics show that a third of all goals are scored off set pieces, free kicks, penalty kicks, things like that. So we practiced that a lot. And the first goal was about 35, 40 yards out, Emily Thomas. We knew their goalkeeper was a freshman and may have some nerves, so we wanted to put a lot of things on frame. She hit that ball. Goalkeeper came off her line a little early, went over her head, and that tied the game at 1. And then it was pretty even back and forth most of the game. And then with about 5 minutes left in the game, Adriana Dunot, who's our leading goal scorer, with 20, I'm looking at it right now, with 26 goals for her career. She has 77 goals, which is 5th all time in Lexington Girls history. And we got a free kick right at the top of the box. And Adriana, it's so funny because she practiced that thing all year long. She would spend 30 minutes after practice almost every single day. We even had to pull her out of a practice one day because her quad was hurting her so much from practicing. But she hit that one and buried it in the corner, and then we just held on the last 5 minutes. So it was a special win for us.
Yeah, Adriana Dunot, you mentioned her, the Davidson commit, has said a lot of good things about you in her interview times here through the course of the season. Can you talk a little bit about this senior group that you have, maybe a little different than one you've had before that was able to win state championship? What have they meant to this program, and how have they helped lead this team through this season?
Yeah, they've just been absolutely phenomenal. It's Adriana, of course, Riley Miller, who's been a starter on our team, plays what we call the number 6, a defensive midfielder. Doesn't get a lot of stats, but just cleans everything up in the back and distributes the ball forward. Emily Thomas, who we mentioned earlier, is committed to go to VMI to play soccer there and then go into being a doctor in the military. So she is phenomenal.
Wow.
Top 10%. Adriana's top maybe number 27 in the senior class of 500 or something. So she's up there. Kai Gordon, who's an outside back for us, who we pulled up after her sophomore year, really, really fast, has had an offer from South Carolina State. She hasn't decided if she wants to go there. And then Anna Bartz, our last senior, didn't make varsity until her junior year, has bought into the process, worked extremely hard, and has gotten a lot more playing time than I expected her to get. But she's also done a great job for us.
Now, this is Chris Fryland joining us, winningest girls soccer coach in state history. Coach, I want to lay out what you have in front of you. You tell me if I've got all of this right.
Okay.
you've got Wando tonight. Is that correct? To
Yes,
settle
sir.
the lower state?
Yes.
All right, so that will settle the lower state. Jailman and Blythewood are playing for the upper state, and the winners of those two games are going to play next Saturday at 11 a.m.
That's correct.
Okay, so that's what's ahead of Coach. And now we will do a little bit of big picture. I'd love to know, to be in the game this long, obviously soccer was not on everybody's mind, maybe even 30 years ago, 30, 40 years ago. You have 477 career wins. Tell us about your background. Did you grow up playing the game? How did you get involved? And how exciting is it to see the way that it's grown? So now you're going to leave it behind, but it's a much different game than the one you inherited.
Yeah, it is. It is. I love that question. So I started playing soccer myself when I was about 6 years old. I lived in Southern California. Both my parents are from Denmark, and they didn't move to the U.S. until the late 50s. So the game was always, my dad was a fanatic, how it is in Europe. We actually spent some time living in Germany. He was in foreign contracts and got to see, my first glimpse was when I saw this is how old I am, the 1966 World Cup, highlights of that, black and white TV with the little antenna, that's so funny. And then in 1970, I got to see the great Pele play in Mexico, and it sparked something in me. So I've always been around the game. I played at a small school in New Jersey for 2 years, Burlington College in southern New Jersey. Played 2 years there, and then moved to South Carolina and wanted to, as a kid, you want to be a professional soccer player, but I realized at some point that's not going to happen. So got into coaching my own son and my daughters. Took a job at Camden High School in 1991, spent a couple years there doing the boys. Got out of the game for a few years to help raise my children, and then was offered a spot coaching the JV boys here at Lexington in 1997. I did that 1 year. The girls' job opened up in 98, and I've been the girls' coach since. The interesting thing is girls soccer in South Carolina did not start to 1993. So it really hasn't been around that many years. So that's basically where I'm at now.
Coach, talk a little bit about that on the girls' side of things. What has it been like for you to now coach on that side for so long? As you mentioned, those first few years in coaching in this area, you were coaching the boys. What do you notice as a difference, and how have you seen it grow over those years as it was so young when you first started out?
Yeah, the game has totally changed, with club soccer being what it is now. It's absolutely different. When I first started coaching girls, my philosophy was if we were in better shape, we would win most games, because the technical and tactical skill and ability, and just, all the things now with being able to watch film and all that kind of stuff. And we break down games, we break down situations. None of that was around when I first started. So all that has changed. I'm telling you, the teams that I have now, like when we won the state championship in 2016, that team was 27 and 0, went undefeated. And the team I have this year probably would have lost to that team 5-0. That's how much this team has overachieved. It's really been remarkable. And the way the game has changed, the girls just play now basically year round. I mean, like here at the high school, I have a soccer class. So we're in there lifting weights 3 days a week, playing soccer 2 days a week, working on nutrition, fitness. We have the best strength coach in the state. And Trevor Hudson was just named Teacher of the Year here at Lexington High School, which is pretty cool for a PE teacher. And so the program here is thriving. And as my assistant coach, Sarah Moore, will take over next year as the head coach. And she actually played for me here, as did my other assistant coach, Grayson Burgess. You may have heard of her. She went to Clemson on a golf scholarship and played up there as one of the top all-time golfers in the state. So it's exciting to see those young girls come in, and hopefully will continue. I'm 100% convinced they'll continue this program at Lexington.
Coach, Chris, go ahead, Rob. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, obviously a legend in girls soccer, and especially in this state. You mentioned that 2016 state championship team. What can you say about how that moment in your career kind of propelled you into this last decade, and how you've tried to build off of that since that pinnacle? And I think you would call that right. Obviously 27-0, maybe the best team that you've coached.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, that was the best team. I mean, there was 6 girls on that team that were offered Division I scholarships. So it wasn't a lot of coaching I had to do for that team. Brooke Power went to Clemson. Megan Classer and Mary Catherine Waters went to College of Charleston. And the whole back line was just phenomenal. It was a special run. We played Yale Man in the state championship and beat them 2-1, scored the final goal, hit the crossbar, ball went in with maybe 2 minutes before we had to go to penalty kicks. And that team, that Yale Man team, had a girl, Caroline Conti, who now plays in the NWSL, the professional league here in America, and a couple other girls that are really highly ranked. So it was absolutely a special moment for us. But since then we've had our years where, like, the COVID year was very difficult for us, and things like that. And the team we have now, we lost seven starters from last year's team. So the expectations this year weren't, that we were how we could, get to where we are today. So sometimes we pinch ourselves at where we are, and having to go to play Wando tonight, which, I mean, I've been to a lower state or upper state championship, state semifinals 10 times, and probably 7 of those 10 times was against Wando. So it's going to be interesting to go down there and play that.
Again, this is Chris Fryland, winningest coach in girls soccer in our state's history. Well, break that one down, if you would, for us. Obviously, you know what they bring to the table in terms of scouting then. How do you see it? What do you have to do well tonight in order to come away with a victory?
Yeah, that's another really good question. So let me start with this. We play Chapin and River Bluff in our region, and they play a totally different style than Wando does. They like to hit the long ball. They have a lot of speed over the top and get in behind. Wando plays totally different. They're going to possess the ball, keep the ball, move it side to side, play in and out, try to have you shift so that they can change the point of attack. Their wingers up top, both their number 7, their number 11, their wingers have incredible speed up top. And that's one thing we've been working on. One thing we are not have is a lot of speed in the back. And so we've been shifting some people around, trying to keep things compact in the middle, look to counterattack, try to find Adriana some. And they do have their starting goalkeeper did go down with an injury. So they have a freshman, I believe, starting in goal. So hopefully we can put some pressure on her tonight.
Well, Coach, I know you didn't get to play professional soccer.
No, sir.
But what about them naming the field after you? That's not bad. And now you've been able to coach on that field. So what does that mean? I guess that Lexington community, you're doing all of this and you're stacking up wins along the way, but then to be recognized that way, it's like they really noticed the impact that you had all these years.
Yeah, I had no idea they were going to do that. We've been practicing on, so it's called the goat field because the field sits down behind high school, and it's a really nice grass practice field. But behind the fence, there's goats. And so it was always called the goat field. So they just changed the name and they said, we're going to name it Fryland Field. And they put a sign out there. And that was like, I was like, holy cow, that was so special. Our athletic director, Dustin Curtis, was behind all that. And his support for me and this program, and Perry Woolbright before him, Josh Stepp, who's now coaching major college football, all the way back to Scott Early. All these guys have just been so supportive of our program and women's sports in general. And it's just, I just can't say enough about them.
Coach, we'll let you get away in it because I know you want to prep for the game, but we wanted to make sure we had you on for a few minutes, let you, talk about this run because this is a special one that will never be forgotten. If it ends or continues, this has been quite special. And Coach, what you have done and accomplished has been appreciated and recognized. And we certainly know it. And I think there's thousands more across the state that know your name that we're happy to hear you talk about it a little bit.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me on. It means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck tonight.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
That is Coach Chris Fryland. And that is, we talk, some guys are, state championship level coaches, and some guys are like, no, he's the winningest coach in girls soccer history in our state, period. End of. And I love him talking about, we're pinching ourselves. We didn't know we'd make a run like this. That's just what old coaches, that's how they talk. But I'm glad, Rob, that you also brought up the fact that he had a legendary team as well. So it's like when you coach this long, you're going to have the juggernauts and then you're going to have the overachievers. Absolutely. And he's seen it from both sides, right?
Absolutely. And I think that, to tie it back into the full state and all of the things that are happening here in May, as we've mentioned, so many championships happening. We kind of see that across the playoffs, whether it's baseball or softball, whether it's soccer or golf, tennis. There are teams that are going to continue to win as expected, and then there are teams that kind of slip up and come out of nowhere. And that's the beauty of the game, Smitty. That's the beauty of sports, is that it is always unexpected. We can sit here and make good predictions, but we can't tell you exactly what's going to happen. You got to go watch the game.
Oh, I love that. And that's what – so I mentioned earlier when we were talking about baseball, and there have been – so if you were catching any of these playoff games, we're going to go over some more now. If you said, okay, I'm just going to do it. These, there's a game nearby, or I've got a friend's son is playing, or whatever the case, and you said, you know what, we're going to do it, and you go catch the game. You either saw big-time future college prospects this week across the state of South Carolina, or a walk-off win. Like there was no in between. Like that's all that was happening across our state. It was either like, well, Carson Bowman struck out 10 guys and Southside Christian wins again, or you were seeing like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I just saw that happen live. Like come from behind 12-11.
And in some cases, you saw legendary coaches on the baseball field, just like Chris Fryland on the soccer pitch. You have guys like Andy Hallett, who we've had on before, 600 wins in his swan song at AC Flora.
That's right. So, and we'll get to that. So let's go over some more quickly what's happening. All right. The 4A format is slightly different than 5A. There are 8 districts total. Okay. So Wren won game 1, and they've already started a series. So like A plays B, C plays D in the upper state, and then A plays B, C plays D in the lower state. And each of those are 3-game series. Okay. Wren won game 1 of its 3-game series with Fountain Inn. Why did I bring that up? That's just the 3rd loss of the year for Fountain Inn. That's the 3rd time they've lost all season. So those two teams, Wren and Fountain Inn, are back at it tonight in 4A, upper state, Fury Field. Fountain Inn faces elimination. They've only lost 3 games all year. Now they face elimination. That's how fast it can happen. In C versus D in the upstate, AC Flora and Camden. You just mentioned Andy Hallett, his final season with the Falcons. So AC Flora won game 1 of the series 6-0. Tyler Hernandez, that's a right-hander for AC Flora, 6 shutout innings to put AC Flora now in control of that series. The Falcons have won 12 in a row. They have outscored their playoff opponents 52-10.
They're on a heater.
52-10. That's a heater. That's a heater. So AC Flora could advance if they can beat Camden again tonight.
And I'll tell you this. I saw those boys yesterday. I stopped by. I actually had to run by AC Flora and got a chance to see them. And they were just as loose as it can be. They are. It should be. They are focused and ready, but they're having a good time on this run.
They should be. All right. And this is so in the lower state, North Augusta versus Airport, May River versus Hartsville. So as good as AC Flora's been, how about Airport? Didn't drop a game in last year's playoffs on their way to a championship. Haven't lost one yet this year either. Okay. And they're up a game against North Augusta. They beat North Augusta, but it hasn't been easy. 3-2. They had to score 3 runs in the 6th and then hold off a North Augusta rally in the 7th to win that game. Yep. The drama has been incredible. Hartsville leads their best of 3 playoff series, 1-0 against May River. How did that game go? How about a 5-4 walk-off? Red Foxes rally 2 runs in the bottom of the 7th. Game-winning RBI from Bryce Seegers. That's what it's 3-2. It's 5-4 walk-offs. That's what we're seeing here. And I'll just go quickly through the others. Southside Christian still looks like a behemoth in 3A. They've won their playoff games 22-0, 14-0, 15-4, 17-2. So just good luck anybody beating them. If anybody could do it, maybe it's Oceanside Collegiate out of the lower part of the state. They've got Hanahan next in a winner's bracket game. 2A baseball had a lot of early upsets there, but now it's settled in. Clinton, the state's number 2 ranked team, they beat Chesapeake 10-1. They're 27-3 on the season, very much like Fountain Inn. The Red Devils get 6th seed Batesburg-Leesville in a winner's bracket game tomorrow. In the lower state, Atlantic Collegiate picked up another dominant win, 11-1 over Lake City. And in Class A, Louisville, Lakeview, and McBee, the defending champs, McBee are all still alive, but McBee was taken down 17-14 by Dixie in game 1 of their series. I guess there was a turnover and a field goal. 17-14. McBee and Lakeview met in last year's championship series. They're both strong, but McBee's on the ropes now against Dixie. That's it. Rob, any final words before you move on to Inside the Gamecocks today?
Just some of those scores there, Smitty, you kind of noticed that occasionally in a high school baseball game, you're going to run into some pitching that you can knock around a little bit. So some of these runs are getting up there. You talk about a 17-4. There was a turnover and a field goal, 17-14 game. That tells me a little bit about like where we are at this point, and it's something to pay attention to. How does your pitching set up? Because on a high school team, you have to manage who you've got and who your best arms are a little differently than you do at other levels. So I'll be interested to continue to watch that. We're into some of these series that are going to take us to upper state and lower state finals. We got our eyes on softball as well, and the rest of the track finals through the weekend.
Absolutely. So stay tuned at 4-Quarter SC. 4-Quarter Friday coming soon. Our thanks to Chris Fryland, all-time winningest coach in girls soccer history in the Palmetto State. Thanks to Mark Bonnette. Even though we didn't get to speak to Coach, we're going to be watching you. And hey, if you are right now, if you are inside the state of South Carolina, you're within 20 minutes, 25 minutes of a big-time playoff game this weekend. Go support it. Go be a part of the community and take it in. We will be back with more of this next week. Inside the Gamecocks, Jamie Bradford and Rob Williams is next.